Crouch. Bind. Set.
Joe presents the House of Rugby, together with Guinness.
Who Dares wins on this week's House of Rugby, brought to you by Joe, together with our friends at Guinness. My name is Alex Payne, and the band is back together. Mike Tindall, James Haskell.
Who Dares wins? Calm down, Trotter. What are you doing?
Is this the Alex Payne train?
Yeah.
It is, yeah. Either you're on
You're
it
trying to
or
remodel
get
yourself
off.
as someone badass and cool, because you're not, mate. You're absolutely
It's
not.
like SAS. I met Ant Middleton the other day.
Good,
I
don't
think
care.
he'd like to come on the show. Big fan of the show.
Oh, well, hello, Anne. Lovely stuff.
Retract and start again.
Apologise, but you're still not in the SAS. You're not tough.
I'm not pretending
You're
I'm
not
in the
tough.
SAS.
You were very Billy to an inch
I'd
of
love
life
it
at
if
school
we-
in hot breeches, and you're like George from
I can't
Blackadder.
wait. When we start getting out of
it
the
if
studio,
one day he just turned and without you knowing it, you were just sparking on the floor like that.
Yeah.
Just been put through the wall.
Yeah, it could happen, but
I'm already training.
You are literally
Under
like
promise,
George.
over deliver.
Wait, you are
Under
like-
promise, over
You're
deliver.
like George.
Under promise,
You keep saying
over
it. You're
deliver.
like George from Blackadder, who, you know, if a boy could score a 6 and da-da-da-da, you'll let that guy.
What have you done to your nose this week?
Oh, well,
Are you Lord Flashart from Bloodhound?
yeah, woof. Yeah.
Do you want to explain?
Not in half an hour, you rubber desk, Johnny. I'll fly home and give your wife something to hang her towels on. Woof. Popped a box of shocks on the table, machine gun, my phone number, and shot off and shagged the wife. That's what I'd do, yeah. That's me, Lord Flash.
Right.
You want to know about a nose?
Lord
Well,
Flash.
yeah. How does the nose fit in? Why is your nose? It looks like it's
Why
been
is it
run
glistening?
over. Well, it's not, it's been run over, it's bleeding.
Okay, calm down.
Obviously, you got punched in the face on the game.
No, don't play.
That would involve
Very
playing.
funny, Tins. Very funny.
Can't have anything to do with the game itself.
Very amusing, you two. Right, let me explain what's
Tables
happened to
on
the
the
nose.
what's
So
happened here?
I put my foot on the back of it, that's right. I went to barbers today. I've got a few haircuts left, like to cash them in when I can. And
Do you video them for posterity?
yeah, I do. I keep a
Did you
little lock
collect
of
the
hair.
clipping?
I
Did
do.
you collect the clippings?
I do.
You can make a weave later.
Yeah.
Or a towel?
Sorry, I can understand it from him. He's got a hairline that wouldn't move in a tornado.
just saying,
you, my friend.
You keeping it. Mine's gone. I'm
if
just
your head was a
admitting
tennis ball,
later.
they'd be constantly shouting "new balls, please."
Yeah,
it's
well,
literally been hammered to an inch
Oh, he's
of
on
life.
form.
polish
He's
it
on
all
form.
up.
He's really on form.
So I went to the barbers, right, and I normally like to get the full beard hair, but I like to get the nose wax done, get all the own nose hair out because you don't look like you got a
Possibly the
tarantula.
most painful thing on planet
No,
Earth.
no, actually that's right. It's the ear. They put wax on your ears, get the ear hair, and they peel that off. That is horrific, right? But the bloke I normally go and see wasn't in. Right. So this new dude was like, he was a bit of a rager. He was just talking about himself, and he started going for my nose with like a few blackheads. I was like, I didn't ask you to do this, but crack on, sir. Until he got his nail and a piece of tissue and just stuffed it through my nose, basically all different angles. I was like that, like grimacing, like kind of laughing out of pain. Took the fucking thing away. It was dripping blood. And he's like, sorry, but you need to clean it. You need to clean it more. And I was like, oh, I probably need a new nose now, you fucking idiot.
You're
Is
absolutely
it bad
mould.
enough that when your missus does that and she thinks she's entitled to squeeze a spot or a blackhead?
I don't have them.
But yeah, but the worst bit is, so it's bleeding, and he goes, sorry, I've made you bleed.
Should you get a professional in to do it?
Well, not if that's how you end up
Well,
like a mess like
honestly, he had the
Haskell.
tissue, but the worst bit was after that, he then went, put the antiseptic on, gave me a bit of thing, flamed the ears, face massage, right? And then he went to fucking crack my neck. And I was like, I literally went, stop. Stop what you were doing there. You are unqualified. I do not go for chiropractor stuff to a fucking barber. Just as those England boys shouldn't have gone to a kit man for share advice. It's the stupidest thing in the history of the world. And I said to him, mate, I've literally, my neck's like hanging on by a deal. Please don't do that.
What happened with the kit man and the...
Oh, I don't know. I was nothing to do with it. Because apparently, according to... I had... His exact words were he didn't include some people because apparently he already had too much money. I'm like, that was the best. I've got no cash, but thank fuck I escaped that.
Has he done your eyebrows as well as
Reg.
barber?
No, he's trimmed them. I haven't like threaded or lined up or anything.
You actually look like you've had sort of Botox they've taken up so much.
No, I just, do you know what it is? They've just, I've had a massage. I've had
All
a
that
bit of
work.
facial.
And you look as beautiful as ever.
Thank you. You know, look good, play good, except I don't play, so look good, talk good.
Mike Tindall's alongside. How is the voice box after Cheltenham?
It was a tough week last week, but it's hanging in there.
You should
As you
get
can
one of these.
see, it's not moving.
No.
Are
Are you just going to sit and look at it?
Yeah, and think of how many I consumed last week, but
Was it-
responsibly.
Flush or bust?
Actually, it was flush.
Was
To
it?
be fair, but I didn't make many bets, but I woke up with a rather large bet from nothing.
Oh, I thought you said rather large bird. I thought that's going to be... That's a hell of a scandal. Yeah, drink responsibly. I woke up with a rather large bird and I couldn't get over it.
We did make the daily fail after our Royal 15.
Yes, we spoke about it last week.
Yeah,
'Cause you
bit
did-
of snubbage apparently.
Unbelievable.
Your reaction?
She came She came to the christening on the weekend though. There was no tension.
So she was selected for the christening.
Well, I just didn't want her to, in her pregnant state, to be in a rugby match. It would not be good for her. But obviously, when I'm godfather to theirs,
How
Are
was,
you?
How was the christening? How was the christening?
No, I'm saying.
Oh, well, can I be godfather as well?
Did you do 4 days of Cheltenham and then a christening?
Yeah, and the rugby on the side.
And the rugby on the Saturday?
That's why he's literally talking about the guy from Alan Partridge. Hello, Alan. That's very clever. Where'd you get that toy shop? I've got no vocal cords. That's exactly what it'd be like.
Lady boy.
Yeah, I love that. That is what I want to see.
my
I want to
all-time
order,
favourites.
Bailey's, gin, tonic, and a pint. What do you call that? Lady boy, mate. Can you make the porn come on in my room, please? But he definitely. I've had that before.
my Corby trouser press.
But that when he goes. Oh, the thing is, what you did is when the porn came up, you entered your hotel room and pressed yes when you should have pressed no. It's very confusing. We've all been there, mate. It's all been there. It's going to come up on the bill as what? Okay, probably not going to.
Yeah, exactly.
4 minutes in, we've done blackheads, christenings, big birds, and porn on telly.
Sounds like a quiet night in.
It does.
That is. Big birds, porn on TV, blackheads.
Sounds like hotel living.
Yeah.
It does, doesn't it? They were the days. We're going to try and talk about some rugby. Did you watch the rugby on Saturday?
I did.
Were you there on Saturday?
Yes. Well, in spirit.
I was actually working for Guinness.
Were you?
Well, actually, that's
What
the
were you
wrong way
doing?
around. In body, I was there.
You were in body mind, but yeah.
I tell you what, to the victor, the spoils. Let's start with Wales, first of all. Grand Slam champions. Well done to them. Pat on the back for Gats.
100%. What a record the man has.
How does he do it?
Well, I mean, obviously he puts good people around him. He's good at what he does, and he specialises in that kind of short-term thing. He does it really well. I mean, obviously before
He specialises in that short-term thing and does it really well.
Yeah. So what I mean by that is that's why he's been so good on Lions tours, and he's great at these tournament things, is because like Six Nations tournament things, Six Nations and stuff like that.
Jesus Christ, why
he's
do we
30
bother?
games unbeaten.
Yeah.
Though, so he's
but what I mean,
hasn't he?
but what I mean is that ordinarily, when they won the Grand Slams before, they would come in and get it right for a period of time, and then not be able to not consistently get it right, but. He seems to have built that consistency, and that's the one thing that he had at Wasps, which made him great, and in Wales he struggled to do. But now they have that consistency. Whereas before with Lions tours and stuff, he just parachuted people in, did it really well, won, but then couldn't do it consistently.
Yeah. I'm going to take out the pin. I'm going to hand you the grenade and the pin, and you can either put it back in or throw it. How well did Wales play the Six Nations?
Well, obviously, congratulations to Wales on winning the Grand Slam. How well did they play?
How well did they play?
They were outstanding defensively and how they approached each game. I don't think they attacked particularly well. But as it's proved, and as it was proved when we won the World Cup, that sometimes you don't need an attack if you
Defence
can
wins
defend
championships,
well. Well, some say defence definitely doesn't lose you them.
Yeah.
Whereas you look at England scored 20. However many tries it was, 25 tries, 24 tries, 25, something like that. Wales scored 10, same as Italy. The rest, max was out. The rest was 14. So, just proves that if you can hold your defence together. I thought what they've got in terms of Sean Edwards and what he can do for individual game is amazing. I thought Davies at 9 and what his role was in terms of putting pressure on Ireland. They knew where Ireland's forward runners were coming, and he would always be in the line, and he'd just fly out every time. And the amount of knock-ons they got from him just doing that was incredible. So I think you've got to give them credit for what they did and how they approached that game. But if I was Ireland, I would have taken Murray off and Sexton off after 50 minutes.
Do you feel vindicated?
No, not at all. Because again, I was listening to something on the way in, and now everyone's just completely written off Ireland. It's ridiculous. They're not a bad team. They haven't got their mojo at the moment for whatever reason. And everyone's always said how pivotal Murray and Sexton are, but they haven't fired up really all the tournament. And on Saturday, they were not at the races in terms of their kicking game that they're normally so good at.
Yeah.
Or it was just giving Wales ball back that they didn't really have to do anything with.
Can they fix it for the World Cup?
Of course they can. Look, they went on a win of 18 wins or 22 out of 25 or whatever it was beforehand. They're not, they're not shot by any means. They'll come back without doubt, and I still fancy them that they could beat anyone. I don't want to be vindicated. I'd like them to go away and actually develop their game a little bit and come back better.
It's hard to develop your game, though, isn't it? I suppose to develop your attacking game when results aren't going your way. Have you ever worked with a coach who said the pressure's coming on, we're losing, therefore we're going to play more?
We look at Saturday's game. It was a perfect chance for them to just go, or was winning to them that important at that game?
Well, they still thought they had a chance of the title.
Yeah, but not if they only just won. They needed to score.
I know,
they needed to score 4 tries.
Okay, yeah.
So, why did they leave the roof open? There was a load of mind games around it. Oh, well, the sprinklers will be on, so it'll be so wet underground it'll still feel like it's raining. Well, it won't, because it won't actually be raining, so the ball might dry quite easily, and if it's underneath, it'll get drier. I just felt that by them having that open, when they knew it was going to hammer it down with rain, it just meant that it was going to be on a knife edge. But, what do we get out of if they win by 1 point and they still lose to... Well, they would have still lost to England in the... I think
problems to fix.
Yeah,
but
the players are still there. I was listening to someone saying all their players are a year older now, so they're not as good. It's just absolute tosh.
When does it come to like team sports and sports, people just get all kind of like level-headedness just completely goes. It's like
that's the emotion of it all.
But I know, but it's like why can no one ever just relax? Why is it always right? They're going to win the World Cup or we're going to lose, and we should all just go.
That's what fans
but I know,
do.
but you want a little bit of like just level-headedness, just understand
what's the fun in that?
Well, the fun is that you don't drive yourself completely mad, and then you don't spend yourself slagging everyone off.
The only people who get mad at
there's a man who's never sat on the other side of it.
Of course, I don't for a moment pretend to.
It's hard. I would even think within a tournament of that length, it's hard to change your game. So obviously, England come out and play Ireland in the first game and sort of show the way to go after them in terms of blind speed and putting pressure on dominant hits, and everyone sort of went off the back of that. So it's very hard to.
Thunder and lightning. It's the Irish. They're coming for you. Electrics are going.
I was just going a bit weird.
It's a leprechaun.
It's very hard. It's very hard to then shift that over the next period of games because you've got to believe in what you're doing.
Yeah.
But I still think there's work to do, and I think they have the players that they can still do it. But hopefully they'll go and do that.
Alun Wyn-Jones.
What a boy.
Rule of the land at the moment.
He's absolutely killing it.
Do you see the bit with the anthem jacket as well? I mean, what a class act from start to finish. Alan from Wales.
He reffed that game as well.
Yeah.
He does that so well.
Yeah.
I just think the referee told me to shut up and piss off.
I mean, they got away, when I went through it, they got away with murder and Ireland got away with nothing.
I remember, I think it was Lacey and Nigel Owen. When I first played, trying to give him a bit of stuff to the referee, he just death stared me. And the same with Alan Roland.
Yeah, but you're not a captain who's played 54 consecutive times for the Lions.
Yeah. But this is true. But still, I was speaking sense. But I just used to get a death stare. But the worst one was that the death stare was like the kind of thing of like, I'm going to beat you up. I was like, lads, just go steady. You can't you can't make me into dust. You haven't got laser eyes. You're not an X-Men.
What did you done?
No, nothing. You just have a chat with them. I'd be like, honestly, in my mind, I'd go, why are you staring at me, George? Will you stop staring? You're not going to make me disappear. Or like even when Nigel and I got a great relationship, he would look at me so angry. I was like, Nigel, calm down. You can't fight me. We're on TV. Relax. But Alun Wyn-Jones just literally the perfect man, the ultimate manipulator.
If you go through that Welsh team 1-15, they were all so good at just having the old. If someone had made a mistake. Back of an Irish head, back of the leg,
just riling,
just patting up.
Where does that come from?
But then that's all
But
they
who
want.
is driving that? Is that Alun Wyn-Jones? Is that Gatland? Is it Edwards? Who is instigating the niggle?
Well,
or is it just part of the team culture?
I'm envious of people like Alan from Wales because he has that. He has the ear. He knows when to say it, when to do it. And I think Richie McCaw had it. I think he's now got it. He for me is is right up there now. We're talking legendary status, and I think lots of sports people have purple patches. And his moment now, which I hope obviously the kind of player he is and the kind of guy he is, he probably won't absorb it. But being that popular and being that people like blowing that much smoke up your arse and being worshipped to that level is, it doesn't come around very often.
What a man. I'd like to get Alan from Wales on, actually.
Yeah, I don't know why he doesn't come on.
Yeah, I think he will.
Alan, come on, please. Be fair to you. It's not all about that.
Come on.
On to events at Twickenham, and I'm going to play you possibly the most astute piece of analysis you will ever hear from the aftermath of one of the most extraordinary games of all time. This came through on the WhatsApp group in the aftermath of full-time at Twickenham. Have a listen to this. I'm going to put it next to my mic.
Hell, what a game. I don't give a shit about rugby, but that was insane.
surprised that BT Sport and other people aren't paying me a load of money for that kind of astute analysis.
That's articles, post-match analysis.
Well,
fucking hell, what a game. I don't give a shit about rugby, but that was insane.
yeah.
Do you want to elaborate?
Yeah,
You pissed when you sent that through.
I had a couple of Guinnesses actually. I was doing
on
something
brand.
for Guinness, as I said.
On
No, I was.
brand.
I'd done something for them. I was meeting fans and talking to people, so I watched it in a pub. I'd watched the first game and obviously had the excitement because I thought, in the back of my mind, I thought maybe Ireland will pull it together. What a lot of pressure on Wales to win at home. The knife edge between heaven and hell. Because to win it at your own home stadium, a Grand Slam, that's such a rare opportunity and would have been.
Well, Wales have done it 3 times.
I know that. Well, they're spoiled, bastards. Aren't
England haven't had a Grand Slam decider at Twickenham since.
You would know that. Penfold.
When we went
Yeah.
away to...
When did England last have a Grand Slam decider at Twickenham? Yeah.
What a shit game this is.
Well, we'd have played France away, wouldn't we? So that
1995.
Right. I'm glad we've got that one out.
Isn't that
there.
extraordinary?
Yeah.
That
Well,
is
so that's
The
my
fixture list never gives England.
Yeah.
I know you've got to win all your games to get to a Grand Slam decider, and actually, if they'd won in Cardiff, they'd have had one this year. But
Yeah, but the point is that we haven't had that. So the one where we won it was in France.
Yes.
So it's great. But to win it in Wales, but the added pressure is that they are even more rugby mad in Wales than over in England. Nobody in England outside of rugby really gives a shit about rugby. I'm really sorry about that, but everyone in rugby thinks they're like the biggest time thing. But we're just basically a tiny saucer, and you're a big fish in a small
Echo
pond.
chamber.
Yeah, an echo chamber of like rugby's everything, rugby's life, and you go outside and go rugby. Isn't that weird game with the what's that team that does the dance? The All Blacks play. Yeah, I know rugby, and that's the extent of people's knowledge outside rugby. However much it is to dent the ego. But to win it, but in Wales, it's like a religion, as you know. So if they'd fucked up, oh my God, I don't think they would have got out of the stadium alive. But because they won, it was incredible. So I thought maybe Ireland will upset them. Then the England game on, I thought England game came on, and we obviously had Billy V on here. He talked about how much he meant for it. I was really razzed up about it because we talked about last show, the things that some of the Scots guys had done. And I 31-0 up. I was like, come on, this is going to be unbelievable. I was with these fans, chinning a few Guinnesses. Lads, it's unbelievable. Fuck them, it's going to be 60 points. And then I went, I'll be so funny if they came out and like won it, wouldn't they? But it'll never happen. And honestly, I just watched it like descend into complete and utter chaos.
have you ever played in a game like that?
I have actually. Not for England, but...
No, but there was one in South Africa that the start they had on that first test where they were like... 30.
Yeah, no, but I'm just wondering if you've ever played in a game where the whole thing unravels around you and you simply cannot get a foothold back in what you're trying to do.
I remember when Wasps lost to Pertemps B. That was a game.
There's quite a lot of stories around that one.
Yeah, but the worst was we were
Gats did some other masterminding that day. Bought himself a Ferrari, did he?
But the worst it was 250 to 1.
So they say.
And
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it.
Pop a bag of sand on that and it's suddenly the mortgage is clear.
Mate, I don't. You obviously can't gamble on rugby. You should never do it. It's inappropriate. I've never done it.
But you should always joke about it.
But you should always make that inappropriate joke. Because someone told me afterwards.
When the underdog always wins, joke about it.
And I honestly was like, that was a weird game. That was just an aside. I have had a game where we've clawed back.
Did you play in that Pertemps?
No, I'll tell you where I played. Highlanders, when I played for the Highlanders against the Cheetahs, we were 35 points down.
Yes.
And we turned it around 36-35, we won.
I remember that game, actually.
That's why I got banned for 5 weeks after that.
For doing what?
Guy grabbed me on the balls and I banged him.
Well, good connection.
Yeah. I actually didn't realise that.
I was thinking a different way.
You have to
get more than 5 weeks for that.
You'd have to pull my balls and buy me
It was
dinner
very
for me
flexible. Was it rusty trombone?
Pull my balls.
Mike. But no, it wasn't a great. I threw a right miss and I left hooked him. That was it. And I thought, and again, violence in sport is not good.
Was it a haymaker? Was
The first one was a haymaker.
Was it two
No. The
windmills?
second one was a selected shot from the Arsenal.
It was a slip.
Queensbury's.
What the hell happened to England in that second half? Talk us through what we've been going on the posts repeatedly.
I think it's really interesting because from the things that have emerged from the camp was that obviously Gregor Townsend wanted Scotland to kick. Wanted to kick, and Finn Russell was like, absolutely not. And they started kicking. Every time they kicked to England scored. Yeah. So they were having this kind of row, and I think they went in at half time. And from what I've heard, Finn Russell said, "I'm not fucking kicking. You need to kick more." He said, "I'm not fucking doing it." And I think in the last part of that, the last 10 minutes of that first half, I think they kind of worked England out a little bit in terms of what they were doing, and realised that if they were kicking too much, that if they played flatter at the line, that England weren't going to change their tactics. And the thing with it is they just chipped away. And it's that positive negative thing. That's what international rugby is all about. It's about the gain lines to get into A to B as quickly as you can. and more importantly, compounding errors. The interceptions, the loose play, that try, that guy's finish was unbelievable. The footwork went between Elliot Daly
Sam
and
Johnson.
Yeah. Mate, it was one of those things where as soon as you get that belief, Scotland grew, and I think England just kept doing what they've been doing, but maybe not the same technical accuracy. And it just went. And as soon as you get close to it, you see a team growing. It's all about, after that, it's the one that can control the emotional energy. It's the one that will come out after half-time with that more intensity. And Scotland just raised it. And England tried, but then when you're trying so hard, those errors come. And it was unfortunate. And people were making mistakes that don't want to make mistakes.
Massive lead in the first 2 tests in South Africa. Massive lead against the All Blacks in November. Not massive, but a significant 10-3 lead with an opportunity to stretch it just before half-time in Cardiff. 31-0 up and drawing against the Scots. You put that together, how big an issue have England got 6 months out from the World Cup?
Look, if we go to Saturday, I slightly disagree with James. In terms of the second half, they did kick slightly better. They put the ball out a little bit from their box kicks. Don't know why they brought Greg Laidlaw on, because then he started box kicking so badly and giving the ball back to England in the high end of their 40, which is what they've been doing all the first half. And England still continued to make meters with ease, but always tried to force it. I think Johnny May with the little offload down the back, and then Daly threw it back on the inside. It was then a turnover, and they got rid of it and they turned it around. England gave them easy field position, which they did not do in the first half. In the first half, we talked about them kicking too much on edges. They did it a couple of times. Mainly it is Slade, but Slade was fantastic in the first half. But then you look at his second half, everything that went wrong, he probably did. He ran into touch that time that he shouldn't have done. When we kept ball against Scotland, they couldn't do anything about it. They had a few good dominant hits in the second half, but generally we kept going. But then there'd be a knock-on or a turnover that would then get them back down the right end of the field where we had to try and get out. And once you've lost that, it wasn't like England were blasé about how they were playing, but they were definitely trying and expecting everything to stick. Whereas what they did in the first half was just be very controlled, and everything came to them. Manu makes that break. If he goes back out, Jack Nowell's all on his own, but then they try and force something, and Ellis Gaines doesn't catch it right, and instead of just taking the tackle and then recycling the ball.
He also had Mark Wilson inside him, man.
Yeah. So, those little things, whereas in the first half, they were quite happy just to pick things off.
Yeah.
There's one with Slade in the second half where he gets on the outside, Daly's free as a bird, it's the 3-on-2, and instead he tries to step inside and he slips. Whereas he should have just, in the first half they were just letting that go through the hands.
And the thing was, the first half was that good. Yeah. That's the kind of dichotomy. They were that good in the first half that I've not seen the backline throw as crisp a passing as that making that yards easy. This the intensity. Like Scotland could not catch their breath, could not reset. They were constantly losing the battle of the gain line. Every pass was going to hand. Every pass was in front of the man. But it was Stuart Lancaster when he came in and he first showed it to me. I think it's probably common knowledge in rugby, but it was. I've talked about it, the positive negative graph in terms of through the game that that everything leads to kind of consequence and outcome, and that actually when you look at England's first half, it was positive, negative, positive the whole time. They were consistently, every time they make a mistake, which happens in sport and in rugby, they didn't do anything about it. So in the first half, England's graph would have been going up, Wales would have been down here. Scotland would have been down here. But conversely, England were making positive, negative, a couple of positives, where Scotland literally changed that negative, didn't force those things, and the graph completely switched.
Yeah.
And that's the sign of a good team, and why the ruthless teams like, for example, a Sarries in the Premiership, is that they do the boring stuff they do very well, they don't force it, and they go positive. You force it, you fuck up, you force an offload, you play too much in your own half, they suddenly get a line-out drive, positive, and that's all international rugby comes down to. And England have got the issue where they are creating so many positives, but compounding, but they're just the inability to switch out of that mode, and that's what we come to, like on-field leadership.
I'd have said penalty 39 minutes 15 seconds before the Scotland have just scored, easy 3 points, puts them 27 ahead. Would you not have just taken that, got into half time? Then you've turned the momentum back. Yes, they've had a little one, but you've then built it back the other way. Worst case scenario, you go to the corner, they stop you, they get another one up because they've stopped you with a great defensive stand at the end. And I was like, you've got to kick for goal.
Isn't it?
Spin it around, keep the scoreboard ticking over, keep them on the back foot.
It is. It's also the plays, but again, the emotional chart. It's constantly the same thing. And when people, they struggle to recognise it. But all those little actions, like you said, not taking that penalty, when people say keeping the scoreboard ticking over, it is all the time just applying that pressure. And if you make a mistake, someone drops the ball, that's fine. If someone misses a tackle, that's fine. It's where you force something that you just didn't need to do. And that's the difference between a side that is unbelievably ruthless.
And then what they did as well is once you've got into that, you're on that down, you're thinking, right, safety first, let's kick it. Like when Johnny May takes that high ball, cuts in field, we've made 50-metre gain, and Ben Young just boots it back down the field, like boots it down into the corner, when he had men galore on his right to go and actually just keep the attack going. You'll be into suddenly their half, you're keeping the ball, you're in control of the pill, and then kicking it back, then they pinged a great kick back into our 22, and suddenly we've got to exit out of our 22.
And also you get that emotional buzz. So when you're doing something well, a lot of players go, or you make a mistake, go, well, I'm going to fix this. Yeah. I'm going to fix this. So what they go and do is they then force it. And what happens is they'll do a couple of simple things. The mojo will come back, and then there'll be a 3-on-2 or whatever, or there'll be a 2-on-1, and they'll go themselves thinking, I'm feeling brilliant about myself. And then suddenly, not realising in the grand scheme of things, that's another compounded error. That's another bit where you're chipping away. And then you've got someone else trying to solve it. And they get the highlight, they get the buzz because they've gone so well in the first half. And it is such an intricate battle. But it's something that, like, when I was involved, Eddie is fully aware of. It's something that, every team has to work on. And it's the difference. And I think someone like New Zealand, or a team in particular, that just don't compound errors. They will make mistakes, but they will learn to do that. And it's what you get when you've got different players in the team, different levels of experience, thinking they can solve things themselves.
Okay. 10-second answers.
Uri Geller's called him out.
I sent that in the group.
Yeah. Uri Geller?
Yeah.
Do you ever log into a WhatsApp
and read about fucking Uri Geller? He's bending spoons. He was a mate with Michael Jackson.
He said to Eddie, I'm the man to sort out the psychology.
What's Uri Geller going to fix now? Bend Eddie into a small shape.
He can't bend him any smaller. He'd disappear.
What's Uri Geller going to do?
Well, I don't know. Turn to whoever you need in these times of crisis. 10-second answers. Eddie talking about 2015. Is that nonsense? Or, to be fair to him, he said, I'm not blaming it on 2015. He's saying since 2015, there have been issues. So he said it's during his tenure. Is that throwing it back too far, or is that?
I'm just thinking how many players were playing in that
4.
team. No,
you've been involved. Is it a factor?
No. Look, every side, and I said to you this 2 or 3 shows ago about the professionalism of rugby and the psychology and mental side of sport and rugby in general. It is the most neglected thing.
Yeah,
without a shadow of doubt.
I've said that before.
But and Eddie has always had a psychologist on hand with the team.
Uri Geller's the next one.
Yeah. But I mean, what is it? I mean, Uri Geller thought Michael Jackson was amazing, so we're not really sure on that, are we?
If you go through their tries,
I'm not even saying his name.
If you go through their tries, there are a lot of them a snapshot. That great chip by the Scottish 9 that just got bounced Ali Price, that bounced like a dream for him, and then a great support line, but. Where was this? But the cover was not there because they hadn't done it the whole game. So they just saw a snapshot and it bounced right for him. It could have kicked straight on into Elliot Daly's hands, completely different. But every try was like an individual. It wasn't then there was an interception where he's just gambled, completely gambled, and got probably. You would say that Owen shouldn't have even thrown that pass. You should have seen him in his eye line, but just got very lucky again. Owen dummies that, and then he puts it forward through the hole that he's left. But
quick word on Faz.
Can I just one second? Sorry, you want to talk about fucking rugby? Don't roll your eyes.
I've got producer Sai in my
Sai. He's wearing the same shirt he's been wearing the last 6 weeks. He wants a fucking rugby show. We're going to talk about rugby. He needs to wind his neck in.
We're going to clip that up, and that's going to be the trail for the rest of the year.
Yeah. The thing is, imagine you're an international DOR, right? And you're sitting down in front of a press and you've just lost there, and someone says to you, what are you going to do? Is there a problem? Well, you're not going to go... In your mind, you're probably thinking, actually, I'm well aware of this situation. We obviously didn't do that. All these tries were individual, a bit of brilliance against us individually. There isn't a massive problem. We showed our defence. Mentally, we've got areas to work on. So you come out with stuff. Because you can't say, British media are hardly forgiving. Fans aren't forgiving. You can't go, well, we'll try better luck next time. You've got to come out with an answer and go, yeah, we've had a problem since 2015. We've had a problem here. We've had a problem there. It doesn't matter. It's just fucking noise for everyone else to enjoy. He knows full well what he's what he's saying, and there are obviously issues, but it's not. It's the mental side that needs to be addressed, but it's a team thing. It's recognising that we are compounding this shit, and with that, you cannot just turn to your teammates and say, train harder, come on lads, we can do this, because that fucking doesn't fix everything. So what Eddie has always done is like do a lot of scenario based stuff, which I talked about before. Grand Slam, in the week of the Grand Slam, what happens if Dylan goes down? We had a whole thing in place. Dylan fucking went down, poor bloke. We obviously cursed him, and everything went into the plan. We came up with the best emotion and the most intensity, and we won the Grand Slam. So he does all that stuff. So Eddie's, is incredible at those areas of the game. But I think in general, as a sport and as a team, we could do more on the mental side. But you've got to remember, you're facing a press conference, unfortunately just going, we'll try better luck next time, or try harder next time, doesn't wash. Because all you fuckers are like, he doesn't care, he doesn't know.
And even if
you fuckers me.
Well, you were that bloke.
And even
Maybe
if you
one
do
day
try
again.
and do something, so let's say England did try and change the game plan and went straight to the touch and tried to play more set-piece game, and that didn't work, then you get blamed for just going away from what had worked for you in the first half. I mean, you're in basically a dead zone. Where
You're trying to justify a high-intensity sport in split-second stuff and trying to pick holes in it. It's very easy for people to do. However, there are learnings, exactly what we've talked about, which is just that ability to not compound errors. And it's a very fucking difficult thing to do.
Back-to-back penalties, and then a freebie over the top. I mean, they're the things you could stop. The back-to-back penalties. There were a couple of those that gave them.
God damn, we've put the rugby in the House of Rugby this week, haven't we?
Ever again, please.
Everyone needs to lie down.
You're watching the House of Rugby on Joe, together with Guinness.
Still to come, we're going to talk World Cup. And we've got a very broad TV characters perfect pool this week.
Basically, another fuck up by Simon.
Another fuck up by Simon.
Si's on borrowed time. He thinks he's
He hasn't been doing his laundry, so has plenty of time to think about it.
Ideas, but it's fucking the broadest strokes.
First, though, here is something else that you might like from Joe.
Cheers, Alex. I'm Chris Lloyd. This is Carl Frampton, eating his way slowly towards the middleweight division. We're going to be here every Thursday talking about the big issues in boxing, getting stuck in with special guests, behind-the-scenes interviews, and, of course, snacks as well. Tune in every Thursday, podcast and on YouTube.
Welcome back, Chris. While we were on that trail, you just missed producer Si saying he's going to come in and give you both a slap for your rude behaviour. We should do that one week, actually. Thank you, Chris. Hope it's going well,
Tighten
TKO.
up the double denim, in I come.
The boys are going to be in Bolton with Anthony Crolla ahead of his world title fight next month, so do tune into that. Don't forget to join the House of Rugby Facebook group. Have you been onto that? Why are you pointing at me?
I just wondered who you were talking about, then I realised you were doing a trail for the boxing show. I hope Boxing Show's plugging us on theirs. I know we're like top of the tree. You're welcome. No, don't say that. How much good feedback did we get last week? I've had at least 7 people message me saying that what Paul Doran-Jones said about the Fathers for Justice going through it has inspired other people.
Did Dozza enjoy it?
I think he did. I think he spoke very well. It was a kind of lads, then sensible.
It was a very good listen. I enjoyed it.
It was a good listen, wasn't it? Top man. We've got a surprise for you.
Another one?
Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait.
Do you want to have 3 guesses at what it might be? First guess.
Pair of Giselle's knickers.
A little bit awkward. Second guess. It's not Giselle's knickers.
Okay. Why is that awkward?
When we reveal the surprise, you'll know.
Some bloke that I used to beat up at local rugby level that like Tins did.
Closer, but not quite.
I don't know. Ricky Gervais.
Very close, but not quite.
Right.
Please, could we bring our surprise for James Haskell?
Why have I got a surprise?
Boo! Oh my God! Ricky, quite close.
Thanks to your bloody wife.
Pretty good show. Very nice to see you. How are you, Alex? It's lovely to see you.
Thank you.
Tin squeeze in. Are you happy on the end?
What was your first guess? Something about knickers?
Yes, it's Giselle's knickers.
Actually, funnily enough, he's wearing them.
Do you know why?
Do you want to retract that?
No, I don't, because Chloe said to me today, we were talking about doing some stuff, and 3 times in 3 separate occasions she went, but babe, what happens if Giselle's there? Or what happens if a Giselle lookalike's there? I'm like, Chloe, so she said it, so she's legit. Do you want to come round a bit more?
I thought she was going to buy you some Giselle knickers.
No.
Are they available?
But how good does Richard smell as well?
I'll tell you what. Do you know you look remarkably well?
What do you say remarkably? As opposed to the normal shit, basically.
The most extraordinary thing happened. You know, we had Chloe on about a month ago.
Yeah.
So about 2 or 3 days later, I was driving back across London, and you crossed the road in front of me, carrying quite a lot of shopping.
And you missed.
No, I didn't. I was about
opportunity.
to poop and toot, and then you'd gone. I was like, and I'm not quite sure what you're saying.
You're
I wouldn't have
about to poop. Well,
poop like the horn.
Because he was trying one of those things like Philly's fault.
Embarrassing.
It would have been a really awkward
You would have said, "I know
moment.
your daughter," and it would have all got really.
You were very busy. And I just
Going back to knickers, just very quickly.
Excellent.
Because a good friend of mine, Bryony Gordon, who's a Telegraph writer, she wrote a fantastic book called The Wrong Knickers. Have you heard the story?
I haven't.
Oh, it's wonderful. It was her autobiography about her kind of a wasted youth, when she drank a lot and took a lot of drugs and had a lot of sex. And it's called The Wrong Knickers because she in chapter 3 or 4, she recounts this tale that she was out one night, she was at a club, she met a lovely guy, they went back, they had sex, it was all great, she thought maybe he was the one, she got a taxi, she went home. And he didn't call. And then about 2 days later, there's a knock at the door. She thought, it's him. And she opened the door, and it wasn't. It was a parcel delivery guy with a brown paper parcel. He said, "This is from Jeffrey." And she said, "It's him." And she took it, and she went into the kitchen and she cut it open and shook it out, and there was another envelope inside, and the note said, "Dear Bryony," and she's written this, so I'm not giving anything away.
Yeah.
She said, "Dear Bryony, I just want to say it was fantastic the other night, and it would be great to see you again. I noticed after you'd gone that you'd left something behind, your knickers, in the bed, and actually, as they're so expensive and we might not see each other for a while, I thought I'd better post them back to you because they're obviously a very nice brand. So here they are." So she opened the second envelope and shook them out, and they weren't hers. Yeah.
What?
Here endeth the lesson.
Yes, exactly. Never send them back. Is best.
Yes. Yeah, that's.
That is a
Never
balls
said
up on the
that.
highest level.
Just keep them.
You said about you
head
being
in
a weird stalker, right? Richard's got a great story about a guy that he walked on this path in Cornwall. You've got to tell about you think we joke about like low-level thing, right? Obviously, Richard and Julie are part of like British TV heritage.
Absolutely.
Imagine the kind of
With the emphasis on heritage.
Sorry, they're like the national trust of the TV world.
And nation's affection.
Yeah. And so imagine I tell you about the penises that come and talk to me.
Yeah.
I mean, just listen to this. It's ridiculous.
No, the thing is, I mean, because of social media now, you get all the shit, don't you? But you get it because people are terrified of identifying themselves. So they don't. You never know who's sending it. It could be you, James. I mean.
Sorry about that.
Most likely is.
But occasionally, you do meet men or women of courage who will actually stand up to the plate and tell you how it is, as far as they're concerned, and be identified. So I'm walking over the cliffs in our place down in Cornwall about 2 years ago. Beautiful sunny day. It's about 500 feet up, Atlantic on the left, cliffs on the right. It's beautiful. And with just me, and then around the corner towards me comes this big bloke. Turns out later I could hear from his accent he was a Brummie. And when you've been sort of well known for whatever reason for a while, you get a kind of a radar, and you pick. You'll get this, Mike. You pick stuff up. First of all,
Yeah, I won't.
you'll come to it, James. Who knows? In time, we'll see. And as you approach somebody in a situation like that, first of all, you think, "Yep, they recognise me," because you get that look on their face, recognition. And then occasionally, you'll see an expression which says, "And they hate me." They're thinking it's that twat off the telly, who I've hated all these years, and now I'm actually going to get a chance to say something. So this is what I could read in this guy's face as we drew close, and we kind of drew level, and he took a breath, and he was so overwhelmed at the opportunity to tell me how much he loathed me, and I could see it in his face how much he loathed me, that he just couldn't get the words out. And he just kind of went, and that was it. So I said, "Great day, isn't it? Beautiful sunshine. Maybe see you later," and walked on. Got to the village, got my newspapers, got my pasties, got my bread. About half an hour later, I'm coming back at the same spot on the cliff, returning, and bugger me if this same bloke doesn't come around the other corner, and he's coming back at the same time. We're going to meet again. And this time, I could read in his expression that he'd thought of what he should have said to me, and he was probably going to lie to his wife and say that he'd said it. But now he was going to get the chance to do it. This is great. So I slowed up, and he accelerated, and we drew level again, and I said, all bright and shiny and daytime telly host, I said, it's still a beautiful day, isn't it? Fantastic, I'm having a good walk. And he said, "I just want you to know that everything and he'd rehearsed this in his head, I could tell, that everything you've ever done, everything you've ever said and done, everything you ever will say and ever fucking do, I loathe and fucking despise." And
So
walked on.
whereabouts in Wales was he from?
Thank you so much. Accents are not Hindu. But what he didn't get was that made my day. I mean, I just sort of burst out laughing. He turned around, he was shocked. He thought I was meant to burst into tears or maybe hit him or something. And I said, no, you've just given me a great story. Thanks, mate. Cheers, thank you. And he walked on.
He went off going,
Yeah, exactly.
Imagine that.
Utterly extraordinary.
That's like the bloke came up to me outside Waitrose and went, he went, "All right, mate. are you James Haskell? I went, yeah. He went, oh, I used to think you're a prick, but I saw you on that Australia tour, and now I think you're all right. And I was like,
It's
right,
a slap in the back.
Yeah,
Have I won in that?
yeah, that's what it is. It's like they kick you in the balls and spit, you know, rub your head.
You've mentioned
But
that.
I bet you don't get that, Mike. I bet you don't get that kind of stuff.
You've done some Irish people.
Dash off the back of today's show as well.
Have I had any proper full abuse?
I bet you haven't,
Mine's mainly come from Welsh and Irish on social media, really.
Can we wind back to the very beginning? Because I'd love to explore. We've done sort of wives. It'd be fascinating to know, I suppose, how the relationship between you works. Because actually, I remember Hask saying when he...
Me and him?
Yeah. when he first started dating Chloe, is that the right way to say it? You
Courting.
You saw a picture of Richard on the wall and you said, fuck me, Chloe's in some pretty fruity looking fellas.
Yeah, I went.
Deep lack of understanding on your side. by the sound of it.
I just went. Richard looks a certain way,
Yeah.
and I don't look anything like Richard. And I went, oh, if that's what she's into, I'm not sure this is going to be that long lived. And then it was only in the morning I went, oh, so talk to me about the fan photo of like, are you into like? And he went, that's my dad. I was like, oh,
It all comes
right,
together.
that's okay.
Do you remember your first meeting?
Oh, God, yeah. They've been going out for about 2-3 months. And Chloe said, look, you've got to meet him. I think he could be the one. Obviously, she was wrong.
Exactly.
They're working on it.
Lost for now, yeah.
Exactly. No, he could be the one, and you've got to meet him. So, by arrangement, they came around for, I think it was Sunday lunch.
It was on Boxing Day. It was on Boxing
Was it
Day.
Boxing Day?
First Bachelors of Fire, Boxing Day.
Well, it was a bright sunny day, and the front of our house kind of looks kind of southwest, so it gets the sun in the middle of the day, and it was very bright in the hall. And I heard Chloe's key in the door, and it opened, and she came running in. Daddy, Chloe, and met her in the hall, gave her a cuddle. I said, well, where's James? Where is he? And she said, oh, he's just parked. He'll be in a second. He's parking the car. So we were talking, and the door was open, and the sunlight was flooding in, and suddenly it went really dark in the hall. It was like there was an eclipse. Yeah, exactly. There was like there was an eclipse, and it was James standing in the doorway.
Puffed up? We puffed up?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I've done a few press ups in the car
Plume of
park.
feathers, everything was out.
He put his fake horse teeth in.
And he came in, and I think within 10 minutes I told you to fuck off, didn't I?
Yeah. No,
You were
first
cooking.
of all,
Don't waste time with that. A lot of people get there quicker than that.
I was in the
firstly,
kitchen.
You showed me how to ring the Disney bell. Do you remember in the lobby?
Tower of Terror.
Yeah. So Chloe has like obviously amazing childhood, like did some amazing adventures and went to Disneyland loads, and I've never been. And I walked past this bell, and I obviously big dick fingers went to ring the bell, and it just went dum, and Richard went, no, let me show you. And he went ding, like perfectly, and I went, okay, it's fine. Dum. And he went, and instead of like letting it slide, Rich went, no, let me show you. Ding. And I was like, okay, mate. Dum. And he was like, no. Ding. I was like, oh no, it's fine. We're going. No, just have one more go. You get it. And I was like, dum. I was there for fucking 20 minutes, right, doing this, thinking, Christ. Then it was all going brilliantly. Sat down, and I met all of Chloe's family. Met her mum. Everyone was lovely. I was obviously my normal shy and retiring type. Like, I obviously hadn't started like take the piss out of anyone, but I'd started joining in
You were
conversations.
warming up. You were getting going.
And Chloe had said to me, be careful, my dad, when he's in the kitchen. Obviously timings for all the Sunday lunch and the Boxing Day food can be quite intense. And I was like, I'll be fine. It's a bit breeze. I'm a great operator with parents. It's absolutely fine. So I walked to the kitchen.
Is that the right name? Or was it what was it? Class operator.
Class operator. And I walked to the kitchen and
I think I was making the gravy, which is the worst time to come in.
Intensity maximum 10.
And I said something to him like, "Oh, everything's going right. Do you want a hand?" And he just went, "Fuck off!" And I honestly, because I'm a bit more sensitive soul than I like to make out, I honestly went back in, and Chloe was like talking. She was sitting where you were, and I was like this. And Chloe was like, "You right, babe?" And I went, "Yeah, your dad just told me to fuck off." And she's like, "Oh, he does that to everyone." I was like, "Yeah, but so it's not great, Chloe. That's the first impression." She went, "No, honestly, he does that to everyone." And then I was sitting there when Richard came back in with the food, and I was thinking, "Oh God, this is gonna be so awkward." And he just went, "All right, James, everything okay? Do you enjoy the food?" And I was like, it really was just absolutely
I can
nothing.
only apologise.
Yeah, it was amazing. But then it's actually happened about two more times.
I think what it was you were offering to help, and I was saying, no, it's fine.
Yeah.
And I didn't have the time to say any more than that. It's fine. You know?
I need something that will get to the point where he'll leave the room.
Exactly.
Fuck off, Dad.
Yeah, but it was perfect.
Is it just a flour to the gravy, or do you throw a little cube
I used
in
to.
there?
That's interesting.
Red wine.
I used to put flour in the gravy, but increasingly not. No, I get a big
You
spoon
like
and
yours a
drain
bit
off the
runnier,
fat.
do you?
Yeah, I like it a bit runnier. So I've stopped stop putting because the flour obviously sucks up the fat and keeps it in there.
Yeah.
Whereas if you get a spoon, you can and let it settle for a minute.
Northern
you can dip the
boys love
spoon
it
in
with
and
the fat
take
in
the
it.
clear fat off.
Yeah.
And then you've just got the juices, which is very French.
what
You know,
you've
the
done
juice
there.
and all that. Yeah.
I'm getting quite hungry. Go on.
Richard makes the best blackberry whiskey, wasn't it? Was it whiskey? Blackberry?
do you?
Whiskey, yeah.
But you're quite a dab hand at the kitchen.
Oh, I love cooking, yeah.
Do you?
Really. Judy and I used to split it. We used to do 50-50. And then it's a good 25 years ago,
Yeah.
it was her turn to, I don't know, cook Sunday lunch or that night or whatever. And she did. And the kids were still at home and stuff, and she'd cooked for them. And I always remember that we'd cleared up. And she came back into the room and she said to me, just need to tell you something. I said, what? She said, I'm on strike. Of course, many scenarios unfurled in front of me. But the one I said, well, "What do you mean?" And she said, "I'm not going to be cooking anymore. I've done it. I've done it in this marriage. I did it in my first marriage when Tom and Dan, the twins, were small. And you know what? I've just actually tonight I ran out of road. I'm not doing it anymore. Just so you know, and it's nothing personal, but I just can't bear it. I can't cook anymore." I said, "Okay, fine," and she meant it. And I've been cooking ever since.
Wow.
But it's fine. I mean, you know, she does other stuff.
Do you think Chloe would weather that for, say, like, like doing the washing or cleaning? Do you think I should wear that?
I've gone on strike.
I'm going on strike. I reckon within 5 minutes I would have folded.
No, you said because Judy had about 20 years in the bank by then, you see. So, you know.
She'd done it up.
Just got to save it up.
Did you have any idea who he was before
Yes.
you and
we play on my ignorance of rugby reasonably fairly, but yeah. I knew a bit, and I knew a little bit about James, and I knew that he was something of a legend, or a legend, as Terry Wogan used to say.
Yeah.
So obviously didn't know anything about it. Fuck it, I was going to let it so fast. And before he'd even said it, I knew it was headed that way.
And you know, once Chloe had named him 2 or 3 times, I mean, there's Google, isn't there? Let's be honest.
Be careful on that.
yeah,
when you're Googling his name.
Fucking hell, I can't believe I got through the second interview. He's like Googling me.
Yeah. But I mean, were you a sort of passive rugby fan? Did you watch a bit of the Six Nations?
I used to play rugby union at school, not very well.
What position were you?
It's prop forward.
Stop it.
Yeah.
I can only imagine you as a wing or a fullback with all that wind in your lovely hair.
I was prop forward. I was a bit meatier then. Let me say, and then when I was at Yorkshire Television, I presented a show called Rugby League Action, which obviously was about.
Did you play
Rugby
league or union?
Union. I played union, but Rugby League Action was obviously about rugby league. So I followed the game there. Of course, it's a very different game. And sort of, I heard what you were saying at the beginning of this podcast about rugby being in this kind of bubble, and people kind of dip in and out of it in a way they don't other sports, like say tennis or football, or and I know exactly what you mean.
A lot of laws, isn't it?
Pardon?
A lot of laws.
Yeah.
But people here will more often not you'll meet fans who all know the All Blacks. If they don't know the All Blacks, they'll support the England team, and if they don't know the England team, and if they like the England team, then they'll find a Premiership team. But you very rarely meet people who are like die-hard fans. There obviously are lots of them, but more often not the people outside of rugby.
But since you and Chloe became an item and you know appeared in magazines and newspapers and stuff and got married, so I've lost count of people who come up to me, and you can see them coming, a bit like the bloke on the cliff path, you know, except this is benign, and they'll come up and they'll say, "I just want to say I'm such a fan of your new son-in-law. You must be so proud," and all that. I mean, with an intensity that I'm not sure you'd get elsewhere.
It's unbelievable.
We are proud of you. We are very proud.
Thank you. But you know what? I mean, Richard's been very nice. He incredibly supportive of the rugby stuff for me. Like started watching bits. We'll do things and really kind of incredibly supportive. Which I didn't think he had.
Well, because what you were saying before I came in here. It's psychology that, to me, that is really interesting. Not just the psychology of the players and what you said in your wedding speech. You know, I mean, virtually all of you live with injury. I mean, until you kind of get close to the game, as I have because of you, I never really realised that injury was such a constant walking companion, on the arm companion of players like you and Mike when Mike was playing. You know, most of us think of injury as being something which pops up, is dealt with. 2 or 3 weeks off, maybe half a season off, you come back and it's over. And it's not like that. You're hand in hand with a little family of injuries that kind of follow you around as you grow.
I'm into polygamy. I've got 7 families all around the place following me around.
And also what you were saying about the psychology of the team, you know, and how you can flip from being a confident, achieving, winning team in one half and come back out in the second half, and with the tiniest of graduations in what's going on the field, it's gone. It just bursts and you're left floundering, as you were talking about England at the weekend. I find that really interesting because, again, that's not how most people see the game. And it is very, very fragile, the team psychology.
Where do you get that from? Where do you get that sort of interest from? What is it about the sort of top-level sport that...
Because I don't understand too much about the tactical play, the ebb and flow of that, and it's true of lots of sports. Tennis, I used to play quite a lot of tennis, but I've lost a lot of knowledge about tennis. But I'm interested in the psychology. I mean, you look at someone like Murray, he now is having to face up to the fact that, because of a combination of age and injury, it is over. And yet you see him flip-flopping in these last few weeks and months, don't you? He gives the press conference and says, I will not be at Wimbledon, and bursts into tears, understandably. And then a week later, he's saying, I'm feeling a bit better today. I might, or, maybe I'll do the doubles and all the rest of it. And that's fascinating to see how someone like him, I'd love to know how you managed it, Mike, goes through that transition, that inevitable transition, which you don't get in other careers. I mean, like unless you fuck up, like in television or radio or the journalist background that I have, you basically, if you work at it and if you're lucky, you progress. You just keep progressing. I mean, I'm 62 now, and I'm still doing stuff I could have been doing when I was 30. Like Good Morning Britain, and the Radio 2 Sunday show and other stuff, which I could have been doing 30 years ago, but I'm still doing now. You don't have that in sport. You just have this butterfly existence, and that's fascinating.
He looks well for 62.
I know, it's incredible.
How old are you?
Well, about 75.
Yeah, exactly. On that ratio.
Chloe always says, because obviously when I grew up, watching Rich and Judy on TV, you forget at the heart of it, they're both die-hard journalists, and that's what Richard does and likes more than anything. So that inquisitive nature of understanding it, and the in-depth conversations and trying to understand the minutiae of it and all the bits. That's why I think that's why there's that.
Well, I think as a journalist, you have to be curious. You have to be genuinely curious, and you have to apply that to anything really that comes along, whether it's sport, politics,
especially
whatever.
Not the rugby mentality where you bury it deep inside and hide it for as long as possible.
Yeah, but that's what we talked. It's really interesting because I watched the dynamic that Chloe and Rich have an amazing relationship, and they have a real level of compassion and stuff that I don't have. Like, I've got a great relationship with my parents, but Chloe's taught me a lot more about that, about being open, where we are like, we'll talk about one thing, and you may, if you've got a good mate, reveal something. But actually, the openness and understanding about it, that's why Chloe's been fantastic for me, especially in my situation where I'm going. And obviously, what you said with Zara and your kind of approach to it is you need those people around you to really help you.
We obviously want you to keep playing forever, but there will come a point where you do. And I know it's something that's playing on your mind. Will you offer a sort of an ear and a word of advice, because you've obviously been through all sorts of changes over the course of your career, and for someone like James who's done 15 years of the same thing, is that something that you're conscious of for your son-in-law?
I'm very conscious that James is heading towards a big change in his life, as we all are in the family now, and he's family now, he's one of us, and we love him, and we want things to be good for him and right for him, and they will be. I mean, I think James has got a very shiny career ahead of him. In the media, to be honest with you, because he's a great communicator. For example, in the coming World Cup, he should be doing everything, because he's the only bloke who can be assuming he doesn't play in the World Cup, who can be a pundit who knows Eddie. No one else who'll be making contributions to shows like this and to TV punditry will actually have played under Eddie and will know how the guy thinks and know, as you were saying, and will know how the intensity with which he applies psychological lessons to the game. So that's a contemporary thing that James can bring to the media. But I think longer term, I mean, we've done a few things together now. We've done silly game shows and a couple of.
How did he get on? Because I didn't see it.
We did Small Fortune.
Richard killed it.
I saw something with you doing an electronic thing.
The other day.
It was good fun. And we had a laugh.
For you.
I know, but the best bit was that Richard was the last one in and was so close to doing it. But I had one where normally what you do is, with the premise of the game show was, you got a load of money, you get a free practice run, and then every run that you do after that, you lose 10 grand or 5 grand. I threw this ball down, smashed them all up first time round, and I was like, fuck it, we're going to do it here. So we had 100 grand in the back, and I lobbed it, and everything went down apart from one part of Stonehenge that just wobbled and stayed there.
It was Stonehenge's Skittles.
You had two balls, didn't you?
Two balls, two goes, two balls. You did
two balls.
Yeah, so I first one threw it.
And you got it, and then you just got a bit carried away with the last one.
You rushed it.
But I still hit him over. It hit the other ones, but just one stayed.
It was the equivalent of somebody, a sharpshooter, getting overexcited at hitting the ball on the first shot, and you snatched the trigger. You snatched the trigger, and it.
But also, that's one of those games on there, and there's a few of them where it can be different every single time.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a couple where it's all about feel, because did Chloe have the flick through the arm of the tree off, which.
you're never
So
going
to
to
blow a marble through the arc.
You're
the
never
marble
going to
arch,
flick.
marble arch,
You're
yeah.
never going to flick it in the same way.
And I had a
It's tricky
tiddlywink
one.
to go into between the
Yeah,
paws
that
of
was
the
the way.
seat.
Getting that one in was
That was all right, wasn't
impressive.
it? Yeah.
Impressive.
Mate, that was insane. But then the last one with the thing. But the more you did it, the more tired the more you get because you're concentrating.
Oh, you bring the
And then
ring
you
up,
went
the
one arm and
electrified
got it
pole.
out, and then you
I
went
should have gone
stay-
straight up.
But you know, one thing is, we literally because it's easier when you're not part of the game when you've got the talents. Like Chloe walked over and she went, whoop, got it straight
Yeah.
off, and I tried to. It was like, went over, got it off myself. Then Richard did it in practice, got it off himself, and then go to do it after doing 4 or 5 goes.
Your arm gets tired.
Yeah,
Well, it's adrenaline.
And
It looks like you've got the
nerves come
DTs. It
in,
looks like you're a drinker, because your hand suddenly starts. It's not. It's adrenaline pouring through the system, and yet you've got to control your movement to the about half a millimetre. If you get it wrong by half a millimetre, you hit the wire and the buzzer goes off. You lose. But you just can't help it. What I should have done was taken 10 and taken a nice few deep breaths, let the adrenaline course through, and then do it again. But can I just ask a quick question then? Listening to tactics and psychology, when you're playing. And when you've been playing games which have been very hard for you on the ground to read, and you're wondering why it's not working, as a team you're wondering why it's not working and what's going wrong, do you ever wish that you could be just up in the camera gallery just for a minute to see what we see watching at home and what the fans see up in the higher stands, that they get a sense of perspective? Even a thicko like me can see the run of play through the elevated cameras. It must be so much more difficult when you're actually on the pitch.
But that's the thing with the coaches. So the coaches have that. A lot of the times now you'll see when the people watch, the coaches have got laptops, that real time stuff. And I remember watching England under Martin Johnson. Used to have a big screen that used to have all the players and used to have the highlights. And if a player made 3 errors in a row or missed a load of stuff, it would flash up red, and then he would move those players off. And I used to sit with them in that players area because I didn't like sitting in the stand, and I just couldn't take it after I was watching it. And it was ruthless. It was like so-and-so's made a mistake, that's that, and they would take them off. And they have that overview, but you can only communicate via the water carriers to get those messages on. And it sometimes you can make some tactical adjustments, but it's hard.
It is hard to basically change how people are playing it immediately. You can see everything, you can talk it, but last thing the players want is some guy running on all the time going, right, you need to do this, you need to do this. Like, there are some coaches who are so bad at it. Like, you must do this, must do that, and literally on the microphone all the time. And I've been sat there running the water on occasion. I can't remember who the coach was at Gloucester, and I'm just going on delivering things that I think are important.
Right.
Otherwise, you go, right, kick it more. I'm not going to go on and say, right, kick it.
Do you remember Razzie Erasmus, who's the current South African coach, used to sit on top of the stadium with a traffic light system? Did you ever hear that?
No.
So he used to sit at the end which his team were attacking, and he'd hold up a red if he wanted to kick it, or a yellow if he wanted them to play pick and go, or a green if they wanted to play moves. And he would tell them what he wanted them to do from the end that they were attacking.
Do that at Wimbledon, you get barred.
Well, exactly.
I've had a few things where they where the water carriers, what you'll see now a lot of is when teams go to kick for goal, or there's a decision, say you're in the 22, you're behind, and the option is to either kick for the posts for 3 points or go for the corner and try and get a drive. A lot of DORs now will go, get the fucking cone on, and you'll see a bloke run on with a cone, and as soon as the cone's on, you've got to kick. You have to kick for goal to stop that decision making, because some players, if the line-up's been going really well, they may want to go kick to the corner and get the 7 points, or get the 5 points and then kick for 7. Or it's easier just to get the 3 and keep it ticking over. So that happens a lot, but sometimes that doesn't happen, and then the player who's made the decision on the field gets hung out to dry. But it's like, hold on a minute, you guys have got the fucking stats, you got the view. If you think it's such a bad decision, why didn't you tell someone to get the tee on? And then the other stuff is like, we had a guy, I'm not going to mention what his name is, but who used to get so aggressive on the microphone, on the thing that all the other coaches were on a different channel. And he was screaming down his thing the whole time, and you could see him getting more and more irate because he couldn't work out why I was listening. I'm not saying.
Was that Club Country? Love it.
I can't possibly say, mate. But it was that bad.
Have you ever been to see him play?
No, I've not actually been to see him play in the flesh.
You
I've seen
haven't
him on the
missed
telly.
But that's very few and far between.
Yeah. You get more like you get hen's teeth in seeing you get a game.
Oh, come on.
Can I just ask you, Mike? I mean, how long is it since you were playing professionally?
For 2014, I finished.
Did you miss
in
it?
June. No.
No. Did you miss it to begin with?
That's a good question. I think. Well, I did. I know that I probably did the Bear Grylls show that I did, so I was away when
That's
the
interesting.
Autumn Internationals was on.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know what I'd sort of feel like. I went to Bermuda and played in the classics out there. But say this year, I didn't miss playing professionally, but I do still like playing. And so since I retired, I constantly want to go play either for Minch or the vets games. And this is probably the first year where I haven't actively gone seeking to play.
Yeah.
And the only reason I did the two that I did is because I actually love skiing. So I wanted to I wanted to learn how to snowboard and stuff. And Bear Grylls just intrigued me.
Yeah.
So coming from rugby, I was like, is it going to be that tough?
So you wouldn't do I'm a Celebrity then? Or would you?
No, for the same reason as what you said. Well, originally when it was done, it was so long, and all they want to do is sit you in a room and make someone explode at someone else. And I don't get into that. That's not why I want to do something. So I wouldn't see it as a challenge to me. Whereas Bear Grylls, I thought would be a challenge, and I sort of went through this whole mental process. She had to have this meeting with a psychology, had to have a Skype call with a psychologist, and ask you, how are you mentally, this and that. And he was asking you questions. He was like, "Oh, what are your phobias?" I'm like, "Dude, I'm not fucking telling you what my phobias are. I know day one I'm going to see it on the thing." So, and literally, obviously, people did tell him, and everyone else went through their phobia. And I said,
it's like Scientology, that isn't it? That's how you
I
get
said
into
my
the
favourite
religion.
is the Swedish volleyball team. I'm absolutely allergic to them. I hate it.
Hawaiian tropic massage girls are an absolute nightmare. I dream of them.
God, I hate porn stars. Fucking, they're terrible. And I straight head first to a tank full of porn stars with armbands on.
You have got a remarkable relationship with your father-in-law. That is not a gag I can crack.
I could crack in front of my good doctor father-in-law.
You know when Ricky Gervais said that he did the Golden Globes, and there's that rumour of someone grabbing up against the wall and telling him if he didn't fucking wind in, you'll go off here, we'll be friends, and Richard will be like, I've never been more embarrassed. You're married to my daughter, have some respect.
Not going to happen, no.
No.
So I went out there with literally...
to Innsbruck?
No, when I went on
Bear
Bear Grylls, that I expected them not to feed me for 2 weeks. So I'd gone to where I think if I wanted to put people in a dark place where I would have been, which from what Tom Evans said is more like what the island is. Tom Evans, he's quite a robust character, and he said he was just so fucked that he had to get out of there.
Really?
Because he hadn't eaten.
But always at those programmes like The Island, right, you always look at it, and there's always so instead of being the sensible stuff, right, and going, right, let's find the nearest available camp, let's set this up, there's always someone who goes, let's find the loveliest beach, right, and you go, don't be a dickhead, get that, and they go, who are you to tell me what I can do? Let's all be fucking friends, and you're fine. And when everyone's dying of hunger, you're like, and everyone's spent 4 days drinking all the water. That's the one where I wouldn't be able to control it. If someone's going, I've hardly eaten a thing, I'm like, to be honest with you could do with a few weeks of not eating a thing. Whoop, recorded, dust. Helicoptered out. Over. So that's probably. I've got to be a bit
I don't think
careful.
they'd be short of quotes for you.
No, I know.
Terrifying. I want to do the SAS
Oh, do you know
one.
what the best bit is? Is that Rich is so good that if you get too big for your boots, we'll fuck you off and he'll be sitting where you're sitting. I'm not sure we can afford him, but
I've just had front row seats to the chinwag.
Yeah. Perfect. He's my hype man. He's the best, but he's lovely.
I can't
You're
believe
nasty.
how nice you are to him.
Yeah.
I mean, because
He doesn't
either
know.
you've pulled the wool, or he doesn't.
No. He's
just a nice
all
guy.
front.
Yeah, more front than back.
See, he just sees the purity in your heart.
He does.
He does. Absolutely. Keep it real.
We have a section at the end of the show which is pretty shambolic, but it is called the Guinness Perfect Pour, and it's our weekly test. When have we ever done?
Richard should pour. Perfect pour.
So we pick
I
a
see.
fantasy 15 in 119 and a half seconds. So it tends to take about 10 to 15 minutes. Because apparently that's how long it takes to pour the perfect pint. We've gone TV characters this week. I think coincidentally that you're here, but would you be happy to be the judge? And we'd actually be very interested to know how many of these you've met and any anecdotes you might have along the way.
You made it into one of my team.
We're obviously doing the
Yes, you did.
character's name, not the actual actor's name, are we?
No, we're doing characters' names.
Yeah, okay.
You were in. What was the 15? TV presenters. 80s TV?
Yeah, 80s TV. But
80s TV. You were in the second row. I would like you at 15 or on the wing, but. Yeah, by all means. Perhaps we could have an official judge this week as to who's picked the best 15.
Okay. Yeah.
Hask normally leads us off. Away you go.
let me just find my.
Have you
little
picked
list.
one?
Yeah, have you?
It's a rarity when you have.
Okay, so number one, Peter Griffin.
I see.
Family
I
Guy.
was going to. I kept mine quite UK based. I've thought about doing that.
That's all right.
Number two is the Tasmanian Devil.
Nice, good. Cartoon? Is it cartoon?
Nickelodeon has been your point of
Number
research.
three is Hurley from Lost. You know, the big dude with curly hair.
very good.
Thank you. Number four is Rodney Trotter.
Worried about his durability, but you get him up at the front of the line-out.
Number five was Herman Munster. right, from the Munsters.
strong.
He's 170 kegs and 7'6".
That is strong.
Brilliant shout.
Basil Fawlty at 5.
Good.
Not really running the line out, so I think Rodney would have to do that. Number 8, the Mountain, Game of Thrones.
Yeah,
Very
nice.
strong. Yeah, you can have that.
Unbelievable.
He's on my subs bench.
Okay, number 9, we had Keith Harris and Orville.
What, together?
Yeah, together. Yeah,
Right.
because they can show the deception. Everyone's looking at the egg thing, Orville, and he's throwing the pass.
Everyone's looking at the wrong hands.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a fairly curious shout,
Exactly.
but we'll go with
All
it.
right. 10.
Key man.
10. It was the Fonz.
Oh,
Very cool.
that's
relaxed.
so irritating.
That means
Sorry.
you've got the Fonz.
12 and 13, Rod, Hull and Emu.
Oh my god, I'm
That's
worried about
two
that.
puppets.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, we can sack them
Repetition.
off. We'll sack them off. We'll sack them off. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Father-in-law. No, too late.
No,
No,
sorry,
no,
no.
you're
Ari
committed.
Gold. Ari Gold at 12. Great decision maker. Helping out.
Chat.
Yeah, helping out the Fonz. You know, he's got the deals. 13, Caitlyn Jenner.
Your father-in-law's written that down. I'm not quite sure whether that's a plus or a
Why
minus.
is he making notes?
I'm making
Why is he
note of,
please
I
see
think
teacher?
are going to be your key players. Go on.
Yeah. Okay, Caitlyn Jenner. Number 11, Mr. Bean. Slinky and very confusing.
This is falling apart at the
No, it's
seams.
not. No, it's
This is
actually
not
not.
a team with any ability.
It is. And then 15, Jet from Gladiator.
That is a good shout. You can have that.
Everyone will be too busy staring at her and then drop the ball.
Yeah.
And
I'm not even sure how many players you picked
Pablo
here.
Escobar from Narcos, because you always know where the white line is. Number 14.
I see what we've done there.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I thought Herman Munster, the Fonz, and Caitlyn Jenner were a really interesting trio.
Good.
Thank you.
The,
Yeah.
the backbone of the team, I think. So
Yeah.
that's a good one.
Good.
Can I just
Don't
credit,
reveal your
can I
hand
just
just
credit
yet.
my mates Robbie Thomas and Nick Cortez for their help with that.
Right.
They're two of my best mates, and they helped me
Good.
out.
So you're not even doing the work yourself now?
No, I don't need to.
Outsourcing it.
Outsource out.
You've got
That's what you do.
ghostwriters.
Is problem shared.
Good.
Problem shared, problem half.
And just for the sake of the discussion, I've not met any of them.
Have you not?
No, none of them.
I'm
None
a
of
little
them.
disappointed.
surely
by
you've
that.
met Rod Hull.
If so, I've effaced it from,
What about
from the memory banks.
What's in your scrapbook?
who had a hand up Orville? Who was that? What was his name?
Keith.
Keith. Yeah, no.
No,
Harris. No, Keith Harris. No.
Keith Harris? No?
No. If I have again, I've forgotten. Anyway, go on, Mike.
Tins out of the traps.
Right, I've got Rowley from Grange Hill at number 1.
Strong.
Just weight-wise,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he's got nothing else to offer.
That was great.
I've got Richard Madeley at hooker. I've just found out that he can play in the front row.
Very good. Very
absolutely.
good. Worry about the ball carrying, but I've no doubts about the lineouts.
And he's got some chat for the ref. Got Tony Soprano as
massive.
Brilliant shout.
And
Into the
he
notebook.
literally kills people.
into
He's
the
like
judge's
thuggery, yeah.
notebook.
Yeah, he's part of the front row mob.
Yeah.
And obviously murders people. I've got Rodney Trotter, happy to steal anything. Obviously his height. I've got Officer Crabtree from LOLO. I was pissing.
Yes.
I've got
Amazing.
him, bit of height.
How
Great-
good was
great
LOLO,
touch.
by the way?
I know, it was brilliant.
So good. How good? And if you look at Rene, right, he was so bog ugly with his. He had that bog eye, right? They could one eye looking at you, one eye looking for you. Yet those birds were all over him. And that, if anything, that life lesson teaches you. It doesn't matter what you look like. If you're a restaurant owner in war-torn France, you get any bird you want.
Top of the tree.
Very true. I've got Dirty Den as my 6.
Good. That's a very good shout.
Underhand,
Problem is,
under
he
the
won't be able
radar.
to catch the ball because his fingers are all wet from licking them all the time.
I've got Vivian from Young Ones as my 7. Absolute
Yeah,
headbanger.
very good.
Just go stick a boot into a few people.
You're out of the game already. Hans.
I got John Luther at 8. Obviously, Luther's absolute psychopath. He's going to carry it out.
What great work that is.
I got Del Boy at 9. Buying penalties, selling dummies all day long.
Lovely. You put some real work into this.
Yeah.
Tim's train journey up just put to such good effect.
Yeah,
I
do you know
know.
what it is? Because he actually spent the whole time during the show. doing what he
Not
normally
this
does.
time, eh?
Yeah, I know.
I did it. See, Columbo at 10 can unlock any
I see what
defence.
you've done there.
Columbo.
Again, how good was Columbo as a TV series?
What a programme.
Just one more question. Just one more
He
thing.
can link anyone together, so it'd be a hell of a 10. I got Zamo. I don't know why I've got Zamo on the
Zamo?
wing from Grange Hill.
Grange Hill.
Repetition though. Points to lose
all right.
prizes.
But he steals tries. He's a bit of
Okay,
he's
good,
a
yeah.
rogue, isn't he? I've got Phil and Grant in my centres.
Very good.
Organising.
It's so painful going
dominating.
last.
They would.
You mean the Mitchell brothers?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Mitchell brothers.
That's gone in the notebook.
They're basically the Welsh centres. I've got Speedy Gonzalez on one wing.
Lovely.
Lovely. Does what he says on the tin. And then I've got Mitch from Baywatch at full-back.
This is so unfair.
Because, whenever he's on TV, everything will move in slow-mo.
Yeah.
So no one gets by him in slow-mo.
Yeah.
Well, you see, my journalist notebook here had only 3 entries for James's. I'm afraid that actually took my attention. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I've got 9 down here. I've got 9 stories.
Really
here.
that's actually the best one
That's
you've
a
done.
great team.
I'll put my hands up.
Do you do
and
this
say-
as well as host?
I do. I need
do
to
a
make
lot,
up the
really.
numbers. I don't do a lot, really. I've gone Tosh from the Bill at 1.
Yes.
Old school,
Yeah,
old school prop.
that's nice.
I've got Homer Simpson at 2, who I'm not delighted with, but Morse at 3, like a Jeff Probyn.
Yeah.
Old school.
I would have swapped
front
around,
row
but
Naz.
Morse a hooker.
But he's like 65.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Jeff
Well,
Probyn
he's
was
dead,
about
actually.
65. Yeah, no, we have a lot of our ideas.
Well,
John
his
Paul
character.
died
Oh, yeah, fine. I fucking thought so.
Well, he had a heart attack in Morse. He died,
he did,
died
yeah,
in the
yeah.
quadrangle.
He did. I've gone Hightower from Police Academy in the second
Great
row.
shout. Great
That is
shout.
a good shout.
Give you
And I
the
had
shout.
Mitch Buchanan in the second row. Amazing hair, athletics. He's like a sort of Marrow type.
Yeah.
Second row. Grant Mitchell at 6. B.A. Baracus at 7. That has to go
shout.
into the notebook.
Thanks.
With He-Man at 8. Very strong pick and go.
He-Man at 8.
Oh, yeah.
Very good on the pick and go. I'm very pleased with my halfback combination. Magnum PI at 9. Terry Holmes, tall for a 9, but very, very clever. With Hannibal Smith at 10. Loves it when a game plan comes together.
Lovely.
Please put that in, Richard.
All right,
Please.
okay.
Please don't leave me hanging there.
Write that down, Richard. Richard.
please don't
Hannibal
edit.
Just going to cross that out.
I've got machinery on my wings. I've got Knight Rider on one wing and Airwolf on the other.
I thought,
juicy.
I thought about putting Knight Rider in because I put the
I'm
whole
not
thing.
sure.
Kit likes to make any tackles.
I can think of 1 or 2 wingers who fit that mould. I've got Starsky and Hutch in the centre, great understanding, working off each other
that's
beautifully.
strong too.
And I've gone the Fonz at 15. Looks good, plays good, smells delicious.
The Gavin Henson
Right,
fullbacks.
I thanks Robbie and Kurt. You've absolutely fucked it this week. So go back to the drawing board.
Do you want to redact that and
Yeah,
they can come and have
actually,
another crack?
you haven't actually done that well. So back to the drawing board for next week.
I judge Mike to be the overwhelming winner.
Okay,
That
thank
is
you.
so disappointing, but many
Well done,
congratulations,
mate.
Mike
Well
Tindall.
done.
Well done.
Thank you. Just teaches me when I do my homework and don't do it.
When you
after
put
the
effort
show's
in,
on,
you're
I can
good.
actually-
Just before we go, could you flex a bicep for a friend of a friend who is Ollie Pell, who's having a tough run at the moment?
Ollie Pell.
Well done.
He's got the
He's
swans.
he's a massive fan of the show, massive fan of Hask. We've had a few on at the moment, but lots of love, Ollie, from all of us. Keep in there. The World Cup needs you in a few months' time, so fight your good fight. And thank you very much indeed for being a fan of what we're trying to do here. That is it for this week. Thank you for watching and thank you for listening. We've had some rugby on. We've had a daytime TV legend on as well.
I think we've had a rounded show.
I think it has been quite round. Something for everyone, we hope.
And if you want to, Richard's been so nice to me. He's my hype man. He's also doubling up as my agent, so please contact him for any work opportunities.
Perfect. Which will be multiple off the back of this.
We'll still pass them on though if they contact you, because it would be.
We're a YouTube show and a podcast. Don't forget to download. Don't forget to watch our boxing show, TKO with Carl Frampton and Boys Don't Cry with Russell Kane, which Chloe was on last week. Did you listen to it?
No.
No.
Very good.
That's something for the journey home. Very good. This week's episode is on the challenges of singledom.
And Chloe was on that, was she?
No, that was the one before, I think. That's something we don't know.
That's heading back.
Sorry to break it to you, Hask.
I'm off the train heading back to Singleton.
Exactly. Richard, thank you so much for coming
Great
on.
pleasure.
A real
Good
pleasure to
fun.
have you on board.
Thank you.
Tins and Hask, see you again next week.
Next week.
See you again next week. Thank you very much indeed for watching, subscribing, feedback and all. Have a good week in the meantime. We've got Ben Ryan back for part 3 next week. Stand by your beds. Have a good one until then. Bye for now.
You've been watching the House of Rugby on Joe, together with Guinness. Drink responsibly. Visit drinkaware.co.uk for the facts.